morning, all of you. Today we are going to learn, we are going to discuss, we are going to understand, and we are going to things the poem, very philosophical poems, realistic poems, thought-provoking poem. The title itself suggests numbers of things, numbers of ideas, numbers of clues, numbers of solutions how to live fearless life. The title, Where the Mind is Without Fear, by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Friends, when we are under the pressures, under the tensions, under the worries, under the doubts, under the sufferings, then we can't live happily and satisfied and contented lives. When our mind is always under the pressures, means we are always under the fear. We are living the fairness life. And if you wanted to live fearless life, then our mind should be without fears. We have the numbers of the fears. Eating jobs fears means will mingle in the trivial life. Eating, drinking, sleeping and copulations. Our mind never raise high in about daily trifles. That's why it is very important. The first of all, we will see why Rabindranath Tagore wrote these poems. Where the mind is without fear is set in the India of the poet's dreams. This is the India that he hopes will be created after its independence from British rule. However, the converse of everything that the poet imagines is occurring in India in reality. The poem consists of 11 lines in total. These lines are not divided into stanzas, they are divided into the meaningful segments for the purpose of this summary in order to make the poem easier to follow and understand. Prayers for the awakening of India. For the regeneration of Indian life. Tagore is a realist who does not indulge in the vague idealism and would not pray for something which is impossible of attainment in real life. In poem number 46, in the present poem, he expresses this desire to face the stern reality of life. And in poem number 48, he phrased that fear of all kinds must be banished from the country. The fear humiliates and degrades the man more than anything else. In the poem number 70, the poet wants to discard all kinds of weaknesses and condemns meek submission to injustice. And last, in the present poems, the poet prays to the God that his country should win such a freedom there in which the people live fearlessly and their head is held proudly. I read the line by lines and explains, and then I comment on the poems. We'll discuss what really poet wanted to teach and suggest and motivate and enhance us, even though the poem is written before independence. And then also we'll see the summary. First I give the brief summary of the poems. I read the stanzas line by lines and I explain it. And then we'll see in detail. The first stanza, line from first to four. Where the mind is without fear. Attention please. Read the lines. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where knowledge is free. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic all. In this line, the poet starts to imagine what he would like his country to be like. He says that no countryman of his should live with fears of his mind at all times. Instead, they should hold their heads up fearlessly and have confidence in themselves. Knowledge should be available to all citizens. That is, educational institutes should admit students of all races and classes. All the various regions of India and their people should be united instead of fighting among themselves for supremacy. They should fight together against a common enemy to determine their common fate. Where the knowledge is free means that types of the knowledge. When we think about the knowledge, after the getting educations impose becomes the man's perfectness. That's why Swami Vivekananda says, education is the manifestation of perfection already in human beings. And according to Rabindranath Tagore, that educations must be free. And the world has not been broken up into fragments of narrow domestic wars on the basis of regions, on the basis of caste, on the basis of religions, on the basis of sects, on the basis of boundaries. That world should not be broken into narrow domestic walls and basis of the color. And lastly, the basis on the gender discriminations. Very incredible thoughts. Next stanza. Where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habits. In this line, the poet says that in the India of his dreams, everything should speak the truths. That's very important. Everywhere truths, because every should want to speak the truth. Otherwise, many times was the prophet, due to the lobha and kama and expectations and desires, we speak on truths. So, poets say everyone should speak the truths. No person should lie for his own advantages. Every man should make an effort to improve himself and keep trying till he reaches a stage of self-perfection. Next, he imagines the reason to be an unsullied stream of water, through which one can progress easily and without encountering too many obstacles. On the other hand, he imagines habit to be a desert. The stream of reason seems to him to be lost in the sands of habit. This means that he is saying that the people of his country blindly believe in their superstitions at present, and he would like them to question these beliefs through the application of logic. Where the mind is led forward by thee into your widening thought and actions, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Where the mind is led forward by thee, means thy, means God, into your widening thought and actions, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. In this line, the poet speaks directly to God. He urges and he prays to the God. He wants his countrymen to be led by him so that they broaden the horizons of both their thoughts and their actions. It means they broaden their horizons of both their thoughts and their actions. And if they were to do so, then India would be transformed into the heaven. A heaven where all its citizens would be truly free. Real freedoms. And our countrymen should be awake into that freedom of the heavens. Now, it means the knowledge should be free when we think about these poems. Tagore's the central idea or the theme of the poem that the poets wanted to suggest and wanted to say that the knowledge should be free, one is able to express his ideas freely, and where one can go on reaching perfection continuously, the mind is directed to generate thoughts and action. This quality should be there in the land of freedom. He said that at present the world is divided into different fragments due to the prejudices, superstitions, racism, realism, sex, creed, etc. Already we discussed and I told about that the world is also divided because of various loyalties and nowadays thoughts and concepts. That is why there is a back of peace and fights, disturbance. Nowadays there is a disturbance and there is war between the boundaries of the China and the India. So he says this people have become inimical to each other, become the enemy. So there is a main theme is the humanism. He describes the real condition of Indian lives toward the close of the 19th century. He condemns our cowardice and inactivity, our superstitions and the religions, bigotry. He exhorts us to discard the weaknesses and acquire strength of mind and purity of character. On the other hand, he prays for the fearlessness, truthfulness, and unity. He prays for the dominancy of reason over superstitions. And last of all, he prays for your widening thought and action. These are the things of the spirit that this constitutes his heaven of freedom. And Tagore does not want merely the political freedom, but he lays more stress on spiritual, mental, and conceptual freedom. He seeks freedom from the dogma, superstitiousness, prejudices, narrow-minded thinking. There were not only the sacks led by the English, but there was also mental, emotional bondage by which India had lost their freedom. Directly, indirectly, he suggests that in India, under British rule, people could not express themselves freely. India also had to bend the heads and submit itself before British authority. Knowledge was not free. The people were divided into different groups due to their narrow mindless prejudices, casteism, realism, regionalisms, creedism, communalisms, loyalties, fear of oppression and compulsions. The poem is relevant to Indian situation even today. The people are still suppressed by certain political parties and are sacked of their violent means they adopt for expressing their views, for making even innocent remarks about them. Similarly, peoples are not able to hold their head up freely. Still, the precious growths are crushing down the weak and helpless person. There is a lack of economical freedom, and still India is divided into different groups based on caste, religion, traditions, and communalism. In the present day also. The poems has an optimistic tone. The poet is hopeful that a day will come when people will forget their petty thoughts and foolish narrow-mindedness. They will think reasonably, practically, and scientifically. The poet is sure that thus the people will reach the stage of perfection and lead a peaceful, happy, and contented life. The poet says that people should not be carried away with falseness, hypocrisy, and the foolish ideology. That is the central idea of the poet. And also, the Indians will follow the path of God, and both their thoughts and actions will be righteous. Only then will India be truly free. Not just in political terms, but in human terms as well. They will be independent not just in name, but also in spirit. Before going to conclude, I have also given the important university questions which will be asked in your term end examinations. Each question goes for 10 marks. Because there are two questions I asked two questions. The first question is, what kind of freedom does Tagore desire for his country? What kind of freedom does Tagore desire for his country? Second, comment on the universality of this poem. And what is the relevance of this poem today? The friends, in short, the conclusion is, its poem is one of the best known poems of Tagore's. That is because its message can easily stand the test of time. Of course, it was inspirational for the freedom fighters in India at the time in which it was written. However, it has continued to more readers for a century since then. The way in which it fights or defines its freedom in radical, not just freedom from the rule of another race, but the freedom of the mind. And that is very important for each and every human beings. That is the kind of freedom that every man craves, even one who is living in supposedly free state. Therefore, its subject matter is relatable to all readers and it inspires them greatly as well. And it is also relevant in today's. Okay, thank you friends, thank you very much. Thank you for watching. If you like my YouTube channel, subscribe it. Thank you.